The twin suns of Zorathia dipped below the horizon, casting the royal palace in a cascade of crimson and gold. Princess Lira'Vael stood on the balcony of her chambers, her iridescent scales shimmering faintly in the fading light. Her heart was heavy, her mind racing with the events of the past few weeks. The war with the Kryll Empire had taken everything from her: her family, her home, and now her freedom. She had been forced into a political marriage to secure an alliance with a human federation, a race she had once considered primitive. But now one human had changed everything. Captain Jace Arlen, the human warrior assigned to her personal guard, had saved her life more times than she could count. His bravery, his strength, and his unwavering loyalty had earned her trust, and something more, something she dared not name. But as she watched him train in the courtyard below, his movements fluid and precise, she felt a strange pull in her chest, a familiarity she couldn't explain. "Princess," a soft voice interrupted her thoughts. It was her handmaiden, Zinara. "The council requests your presence." Lira'Vael sighed, her tail flicking in irritation. "Tell them I'll be there shortly." As she turned to leave, her eyes lingered on Jace for a moment longer. There was something about him, something that stirred memories she had long buried. Memories of a life before the war, before the Kryll had destroyed everything. The council chamber was filled with the leaders of the Zorathian resistance and their human allies. The air was thick with tension as they debated their next move against the Kryll. Lira'Vael took her seat at the head of the table, her presence commanding silence. "We've received intelligence that the Kryll are planning an attack on our supply lines," General Kaeldar said, his voice grim. "If they succeed, we'll be cut off from reinforcements." Jace, who stood at the edge of the room, stepped forward. "With all due respect, General, we need to strike first. If we hit their command center, we can cripple their operations." Lira'Vael's eyes met his, and for a moment, the world seemed to fade away. There was a fire in his gaze, a determination that mirrored her own. She nodded. "Captain Arlen is right. We can't afford to wait." The council erupted into arguments, but Lira'Vael's decision was final. They would attack at dawn. That night, Lira'Vael found herself unable to sleep. Her mind was consumed with thoughts of the upcoming battle, and of Jace. She wandered the palace halls, her footsteps echoing in the silence. As she passed the training grounds, she saw him there, practicing alone under the light of Zorathia's moons. "Can't sleep?" she asked, stepping into the courtyard. Jace turned, his expression softening as he saw her. "No. Too much on my mind." She approached him, her scales glinting in the moonlight. "You've been fighting this war for a long time. What keeps you going?" He hesitated, his eyes searching hers. "I lost someone I loved. A long time ago. I fight so that no one else has to suffer like I did." Her heart ached at the pain in his voice. "I'm sorry." He shook his head. "Don't be. It's what drives me. But sometimes, I feel like I'm searching for something. Something I can't quite remember." Lira'Vael's breath caught in her throat. There was again that strange familiarity. She reached out, her hand brushing against his. "Jace." Before she could finish, an alarm blared through the palace. The Kryll had launched a surprise attack. The battle was fierce. The Kryll forces descended upon the palace like a swarm of locusts, their weapons cutting through the Zorathian defenses. Lira'Vael fought alongside Jace, their movements perfectly synchronized as if they had been fighting together for years. But as the battle raged on, they found themselves surrounded. "We're not going to make it," Jace said, his voice steady despite the chaos. Lira'Vael gripped her weapon tighter. "We fight to the end." As the Kryll closed in, Jace did something unexpected. He activated a device on his wrist, and a blinding light enveloped them. When it faded, they were no longer on Zorathia. They stood in a strange, sterile room filled with unfamiliar technology. "Where are we?" Lira'Vael asked, her voice trembling. Jace's expression was one of shock and realization. This is a Federation ship. But it's not just any ship. It's the Elysium. My ship. Her eyes widened. "Your ship. But how?" He turned to her, his eyes filled with a mixture of hope and fear. "Lira'Vael, I think I've been here before. I think I lived here." As they explored the ship, memories began to surface. Memories of a life they had shared together. Jace had been the captain of the Elysium, and Lira'Vael had been his wife. They had been on a mission to negotiate peace with the Kryll when their ship was attacked. Jace had been injured, and Lira'Vael had been captured. The Kryll had erased their memories, using them as pawns in their war. "It's true," Jace said, his voice breaking. "You're my wife." Tears streamed down Lira'Vael's face as the memories flooded back. "Jace, remember. I remember everything." They embraced, their hearts finally whole after years of separation. But their reunion was short-lived. The Kryll had tracked them to the ship, and they were determined to finish what they had started. The final battle was a blur of light and sound. Jace and Lira'Vael fought side by side, their bond stronger than ever. With the help of the Elysium's advanced technology, they managed to defeat the Kryll forces and destroy their command center. As the dust settled, they stood together on the bridge of the ship, looking out at the stars. The war was over, and they had found each other again. "We've been given a second chance," Jace said, his voice filled with awe. Lira'Vael smiled, her heart full. "And this time we won't let anything tear us apart." They returned to Zorathia as heroes, their love a beacon of hope for both their peoples. And as they stood together under the twin suns, they knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. Epilogue. Years later, the galaxy was at peace. The Kryll Empire had been dismantled, and the Zorathians and humans had formed a lasting alliance. Jace and Lira'Vael ruled Zorathia together, their love a symbol of unity and strength. One evening, as they watched the sunset from the palace balcony, Lira'Vael turned to Jace with a smile. "Do you ever think about how far we've come?" He took her hand in his eyes filled with love. "Every day. And I thank the stars for bringing us back together." As the twin suns dipped below the horizon, they knew that their journey was far from over. But with each other by their side, they were ready for whatever the future held.